Hey everyone, it's Lynnea, and today I have a project for you featuring a card wrap design and the Beth DUff Designs Seize the Day stamp set. That's the one that you see here. It has some fabulous mermaid images and some coordinating sentiments, and I just love it. I'm also going to be using the Simon Says Stamp Stripes card wrap die, My Favorite Thing Stitched Basic Edges dies, the Tailored Expression cross stitch embossing folder, Simon Says Stamp Folk Dance Stencil, and then some distressings. It's one of my favorite blends. I love Twisted Citron into Peacock Feathers, Blueprint Sketch, and Dusty Concord. So all I'm doing here is I have a 4 1/4 piece of square watercolor cardstock, and I've used my tape runner adhesive to adhere the watercolor cardstock right down onto my glass craft mat, and then I'm going to use some micropore tape to tape down my stencil over the top. And like I said, this is one of my favorite color combos. I just love the 4 inks together. So I'm using a round ink blending tool from Tim Holtz, and I'm starting with my darkest color, which is the Dusty Concord, and then I'll work from dark to light. And I have found that when you're blending distress inks, you really need to overlap the colors. And so that's what I'll do. I'll put down a lot of ink and then go back and overlap, but I have found that if I overlap maybe a little bit too much, I can always go back with the ink and add some more color. So you've seen me do that a couple times. And I found that my blending tool was kind of pulling up the little pieces of the stencil. So that's why you saw me at the end there. I was more pouncing it rather than using that circular blending motion. So I've used the My Favorite Things die from the Stitched Basic Edges, and I've die cut the panel into 2 separate pieces. I have a bigger piece at the top and a smaller at the bottom. And I've also taken a 4 1/4 square piece of 110-pound cardstock and used the Tailored Expression cross stitch embossing folder on it. Now I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Stripes card wrap die, and I have 2 pieces of vellum that are 4 1/4 by just less than 8.5 inches long. And I'm using my T-square ruler to line up that die so that the point of the triangle is at the very edge of the vellum. And you can see here that I cut it off of both edges on both of my pieces. So I cut it 4 times in total. And then I'm just using my bone folder to reinforce those score lines. And you didn't see me do it because I turned off my camera, but I did work that score line quite a bit. I went back and forth folding those lines probably about 4 or 5 times to make sure that the card wrap would open easily. So I've put some tape runner adhesive on the back of one of my pieces and adhered it to the inside of the other. And I've just kind of lined up all 4 of the edges, and I was careful to make it so that the points would intersect in the middle. They're not perfect, but that's okay. And now I have a 4 1/4 square card base that I made out of 110-pound cardstock, and I've just put adhesive on the back of the card, and then I'm going to stick that into the inside of the card wrap. So you can see here that it'll wrap right up, and I'm using my bone folder again to make sure that that card wrap will go all the way around. Then I'm going to take the piece that the cross stitch embossed piece, and I'll put that right on top of the card base that's inside of the card wrap. And I'm just using tape runner adhesive, and then I'm going to also adhere down the stencil piece on top of the embossed piece. I'm gluing everything flat. I do love dimension, but with this card wrap design, you kind of have to keep everything flat. And I have a bunch of layers here. There's that 110-pound cardstock base, a 110-pound piece of paper that is embossed, and then the watercolor cardstock. So it is kind of difficult for this card wrap to close because I have so many heavy layers in there. I have some stamped pieces that I have already stamped with Memento ink, and I've colored them with my Copic markers, and these are from the Beth DUff Designs Seize the Day stamp set. And I love this stamp set. It's new from her summer release, and it's just, who doesn't love mermaids? These mermaids are so great. There's 3 different styles, and then there's a whole bunch of accessories. You can see here I have the starfish, the jellyfish, and the seahorse. And I've colored them all with my Copic markers. I colored a bunch when I first got the stamp set, and I cut them out with my scissors, and now all I have to do is just use glue to adhere them. And I'm using multi-medium matte glue. This is my favorite liquid adhesive because it holds super, super strong. But also, I don't use liquid adhesive a lot because I tend to use a lot. So when I use this glue, if any squeezes out the side, it doesn't, it dries matte. It's not shiny, you can't really see it. So I tied up my card wrap with some brown and white striped baker's twine, and that's it. This card will fit right into a regular envelope. I have a bonus card on my blog. You're going to see it in a minute here. So if you want to check that out, head over to my blog, and there's more information there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!